All right, hey guys, Sean Barnes here, FFL Ascent with the Peak Performance Podcast. Today I got one of my main guys, Matt Borsh of FFL Inception on with us, and we're going to be going through his in-home today. Matt, how you doing, bro?
What's up, Sean? Good to see you, brother. I used to be the main guy, so now I'm just one of the main guys I see. But hey, that's what happens when the business grows.
That's what happens when we grow. You know, we're new levels apart, dude, which is a good problem to have, right?
It is. It really is.
Dude, no problem, man. I'm excited to pick your brain on your in-home structure, your in-home process. But I just remember back to our early days when we just started grinding and growing, bro. And that's when we became better friends. You know, went to college together for a short period of time, but then we just ended up at the same level at the same time and really leaned on each other, dude. I know you made a huge impact on my business starting out with in-home scenarios and things like that. So real quick, man, just tell us a little bit about yourself, your team, you know, where you guys are at, things like that.
Absolutely, yeah. So Matt Borsh, Family First Life Inception, co-owner with Mike Irvling. I started back just before you did. I jumped in just a little bit before in June of 2020. Gabe, Caleb, were calling us, telling us this new thing they had found and gotten into, and we're saying, "Hey, get into this." And I was like, "I don't know, man. I got a wife, I got a mortgage. I don't know if I'm ready for a pyramid scheme." So I looked into it, saw that, okay, no, it actually is legitimate and it's an incredible business model. And I feel like that's something that you can't fully comprehend day one, but I'm glad that I at least gave it the shot. You don't have to sign a contract. All you got to do is come in and go to work for a little bit. And so that's what I did. I saw what they were doing, validated it for myself, jumped in. And then I think your levels of belief, the longer you're here, they really start to increase. And that was a conversation I was having with Mike and some of our other managers the other day, is how do we help people have those next level of belief moments more often? And so started summer 2020. Didn't really focus on building a business at all that year, much to my regret. So spent most of that year figuring it out for myself. Helped 240 families that first half year there. And then coming into the next year, got serious about building a business, telling others about it. And so the spring of that year was where Inception was formed. We became official there. Partnered with Mike later on in the fall. We looked at our businesses, our strengths and weaknesses, and decided that it made good business sense for the both of us to partner up 50-50. Obviously, it's not someone that you have to do. If you're the full package like yourself, you don't necessarily need a business partner, right? But for Mike and I, it made a lot of sense. So we partnered up fall of 21, and then ended last year 21 at personal 567 families protected, and then the business total protected 3,100 families last year. And then we got big goals for this year.
Just insane, bro. Just insane to watch your trajectory. And I have seen firsthand, some of this trajectory, being friends with you and both Mike, and then obviously working under the same umbrella. So it's been exciting to witness this, dude. Genuinely one of the, nicest people in our business. And I really mean that sincerely, and just such a good heart, but specifically focusing on your in-home, right? Were you always a 567 family producer?
Yeah,
Month to
that's
month?
funny because we both know the answer, but for those out there, the answer is a definite no. A definite no. But that's the beauty of this business, man. It's not that complicated. If you're out there doing it, you can learn pretty quick. And I
Absolutely.
would say I learned quick, but could have learned way quicker if I got out of my own way, and stopped overthinking everything and just just went to work. So no is the short answer. I definitely wasn't, but it's not hard to get there, and I think it's not even that difficult to surpass that either. Obviously 567 sounds good until you get up with the rest of the agencies of FFL, and you start to realize, oh, okay, I'm kind of a schmuck. That wasn't that good. So it's easy to humble yourself there if you're looking at other leaderboards. So I think anyone can do it, but it does take a lot of consistent.
Yeah, 100%, dude. And that was what was so admirable about you, is you just consistently bought leads. You grinded all of last year, and you were super consistent, which was, hey, you didn't have a ton of massive weeks from what I remember. You just always were helping 10 to 15 families every single week without fail. So before we actually get into your in-home structure, okay, What are some things that took you from not being where you're at now to helping 40, 50 families a month? What are some things you changed?
Sure. I think, Sean, it's so simple. So I think the first thing I would point people to, it's hard to say that it was a change per se, but it was becoming very consistent and intentional. It's if you've helped 20 families in a month, you can help 40 or 50. You just need to get more intentional with your schedule, and then work a little bit harder, honestly. Because I think that we're kind of bred as a culture to just do what's necessary, right, to get by. So if you're helping 20 families a month, you're getting by. You're paying your bills. You might even be making a little bit more than you were before you came here. So it's very easy to get comfortable at that point, and I think that's why that's kind of a magic number breaking point for a lot of people. Because that's the comfort number. The 20 to 25 a month, that's comfortable. But if you have big goals here, you can't stay comfortable, right? You and I have both had to have those uncomfortable moments in the business where either you choose or you are forced to get uncomfortable, and it pushes you to the next level. So a couple changes that I made to get there. Really get intentional about your schedule. Be honest with yourself about the white unused time on there, that's on the calendar, and just making sure that you're working really hard. You're not going to help 40, 50 families a month by accident, especially not consistent. You might have one crazy month out of nowhere if you have a big policy or something, but it's just not going to happen like that consistently on accident. Next, not being afraid to invest into leads. I feel like so many people, and we've both been there as well, overthink leads to just an insane extent. What vendor, how long have they been in business? What does their email font look like? And what does their mailer look like? Or what does their ad on Facebook look like? And what's my ROI going to be? And I got a 3.7 ROI with this vendor versus a 2.8 with this one. Or it's exhausting, and we know those agents that do that and they're never at the top. They just never are. So I looked at that, and the whole goal here is to copy paste what the successful people have done before us, right, and improve anything that can be. And so that's one of the things I saw in the top producers was they don't overthink leads. They just buy a lot of them, because if you have a lot of leads, if you work from a place of abundance, you will always be operating in the multiple nets profits. So being intentional with your schedule, and then not being afraid to buy more leads and to invest heavily. If you buy some leads and they just absolutely don't work and you gave it multiple shots at it, okay, yeah, go somewhere else. That's fine. It's a business. But you have to look at this thing as a business. You're investing in things that might not always work, but if you don't try it, it has no shot at working. I'm always trying a different lead vendor, a different state, a different county, a different method to try to make sure that I'm operating as high as I can be. So be intentional with your time. Don't be afraid to invest into leads, and don't overthink it. Just throw money at lead vendors, see if they're what you want to work with, and if they're not, keep moving. If they are, dump more at them. I really do think it's that simple, and I think that people try to overcomplicate it so that they have an excuse not to go do it.
Yeah, 100%, bro.
Oh, I'm waiting to hear back from someone. Well, dude, you don't have to wait 3 weeks to hear back from someone. Just either call them again or go somewhere else, But, I don't have a license for that state, or, just there's so many things, that we've said ourselves and then we've heard, And so it's kind of funny just because you've been there, then you hear it again. You're like, man, that's just such an easy thing to switch, but you just got to make that switch.
Yeah, one of my favorite phrases, don't overthink it, right? So let's dive into what you do in the house. There's obviously three, just a couple different basic parts of the in-home, right? There's the setup, there's the financial inventory, and there's the close. Walk us through what you do when you get to the house and how you set the table.
Absolutely. Let's. I'll take two different approaches, or just one, up to you. But first, I'll focus on more of a mortgage protection type of setup.
Okay.
The way I look at in-homes of any kind, whether you're virtual or in person, they're all going to have the same skeleton, right? It's all going to be a human being, but human beings look a little differently, right? We're all the same down at the core, right? But some look a little better or worse or different than others, right? So the skeleton's going to be the same, but you might have a few different things, or you might tweak this or say this here or there. So if we're in an in-home, and if I'm sitting down at the kitchen table or virtually, with you and Christina, it's real straightforward. Sean and Christina, I'm real low on small talk. I build my rapport throughout the conversation, not at the beginning. So I'm headed straight to the table. If you try to sit me at the couch, hey, actually, I've got all this stuff here that I have to lay out, and I'll be writing a bunch of stuff down. Let's go to the table if that's all right with you guys. I'll help you clear it off if you need to. No problem. So we get to the table. Now I'm setting it, right? Not literally, but figuratively what I'm doing. I'm going to slide you my license. Sean, Christina, here's my license, guys. This is my license with the state of Florida. Letting you guys know I'm certified by the state to have this conversation with y'all and help you with any kind of coverage that we're looking at today. So that's the first part of my setup, is just kind of identifying myself and who I am, building that credibility. I'm not Joe Blow knocking doors, right? And then next up, I'm going to remind them why I'm there. So no matter what type of lead it is, I'm going to remind them that I'm not here knocking doors. This is something that you prompted in some way, shape, or form, right? Whether it was a mortgage protection call-in, whether they filled something out in the mail and returned it, whether they were browsing Facebook and clicked on an ad, they did something that then prompted me to come out there. And so I want to remind them of that, right? So guys, obviously we're out here to talk about the mortgage protection. I know you've been getting bombarded with all the reminder mail about it. So let me just kind of explain how we got to this point with the mortgage protection. That way, that'll answer most of your guys' questions for you, and we'll keep going from there. So with mortgage protection, there's 3 different types of coverage that you need when you buy a loan. The first one is homeowners insurance. You already got that one, right? That one typically gets outsourced. You're not going to get that through your loan company. You're going to bundle it with your home or your car insurance, something like that, right? And so that you already took care of. That's going to protect you from fire damage, from storm damage, all that kind of stuff, right? You guys got that. So I'm looking for the buy-in, the light bulb, like, oh yeah, I remember that. Okay, cool. And I always like to say, this is something newer that I added. I like to remind them that the homeowners is outsourced as well. I like saying that. Like, hey, you didn't get your homeowners through your loan company, so why would you get your mortgage protection? So that's something I've added recently that I find helps kind of make that relation to them. Next is the PMI, private mortgage insurance, and I'll figure out if they have PMI. That's real simple. What's the house worth? What's their loan amount? If that's not 20%, and if they're not a VA loan, then they're paying PMI. So my word track for that is real simple. And guys, PMI, that's a fee that you have to pay the loan company if you're not rich, right? If you don't put 20% down on this loan, they're going to charge you PMI. That covers their butts. It does nothing for you. It's no different than if you guys were paying for my car insurance. I'm covered, but you're paying for it. That's weird, right? Why would you do that? You're not getting anything out of it. You're just covering me and you don't even know me, right? That's weird. You don't want to do that. Same thing with the PMI. You don't want it because it doesn't do anything for you. You're just protecting the loan company, but they make you do it because you're using their money and you didn't get the terms for the conventional loan. Make sense so far? Okay, cool. So those are the 2 out of the 3 that are required before you can even step foot in here, right? Because they cover someone else. The one that covers you, no one really cares about because it just covers you, right? Honestly, the loan company would almost prefer you didn't have anything because, let's be honest, if you stop making that payment, you're gone. They don't care why, right? Sick, disabled, dead, out of work, they don't care, right? You're gone. But obviously you guys care about that. So that's why I'm here today, to go over your mortgage protection and make sure that we're able to find a program for you. I don't work for your loan company or any insurance company. Sean, my job as the underwriter is to look with every company that offers mortgage protection here in the state of Florida. So that's what we'll be doing for you guys today. Make sense so far? Okay, cool. Now I've verified myself, slid you my license, and I just leave that sitting out there. Or leave it up on the screen, whatever, so they can see that. Then I've explained how we've gotten to this point so far, and then I'll just kind of keep going from there. So how this will go, guys, real simple. We're going to close out your file today one way or another. We get hundreds of these a week, as you can imagine, so we are really, really busy. This is just a one-time thing. It's not going to require 42 different follow-ups like when you tried to qualify for this loan, right? This is just a one and done. It's very simple. We'll look at your options, and from there, we'll close out your file one of 2 ways. We'll look at your options and you'll either tell me, Matt, let's go with this one or this one, see if we can be approved, or you'll tell me, Matt, we're declining it, we don't want mortgage protection. Either one's fine by me, guys. My job is to make sure we find the best option available to you, and then we'll go ahead and apply for it, see if we can get you approved if we find that. Fair enough? Cool. So here's what this will look like. 3 minutes of health questions, 3 minutes of budget questions. You need to know your health, so that way we can figure out what you might qualify for. I need to know your budget. Everyone that needs to know your budget and how much you make, they already know, right? Everyone who cares about that, they already know. The only reason I'm asking is because I want to make sure we look at options that are actually affordable to you, where you can still put gas in the tank.
So Matt, so much just in the setup, right? Obviously, short-term goals, structure, expectations. It sounds like what you're trying to do is eliminate a lot of objections up front, because objections are not fun for anybody. So what it looks like you did there, very good, was you took so many objections that the client could have asked. Why do you need to know my budget? Why do you need to know health? Why do you need to know about my insurance? Why do you need to know about this stuff? Well, if you just tell them like you did that you're going to ask them, it's weird. They just don't ask why you're doing that. You know, you're setting the expectation that this is just how it goes. And then they don't question it. And if they have problems, they probably didn't want you there in the first place. They just took a while to show you, right? And two, dude, I love the basically we're making a decision. I don't have time to come back. We're either going to say yes or say no. That takes away the age-old objection, I want to think about it. Now, my question is, at the end, when you go to close, do you ever still get, I want to think about it?
Yeah, you'll still get it because a good setup doesn't make up for a crappy job in the financial inventory, right? If you don't ask them all the questions that you need to figure out their situation, if you don't make a good recommendation, so it can't make up for that completely. But you know that if you get to think about it, you did something wrong, right? Because the reason that we do that one call close type of approach to protect these families isn't selfish on us. It can seem like that to an outsider, like, oh, you're not even going to give them the chance to think about it. But the reality is, it is a simple decision, and the type of families that we sit with do need this. So if we allow them to think about it, the chance of you helping them just goes absolutely down the drain, you know, probably to the single digits, right? And so we're actually doing them a huge disservice by being, lacking confident in ourselves and in our approach and what we're doing. We're doing them a huge disservice. Of course, it doesn't help us either, but we got to focus on the clients. And so if you don't give them the peace, the confidence, the structure that it takes to make that decision, then you're just hurting them. And so I think that's a big factor in it. But you'll still get to think about it because it's not perfect, but you'll get far less of them if you set it up properly and then just do a good financial inventory, do a good job figuring out their situation.
Yeah, 100%, man. Probably one of the things I think is funniest at the end is when a client looks you dead in the eyes and says, I never make decisions. No one ever makes decisions on the first day. And in my mind, I laugh because no, the last 8 people that I dealt with all made a decision on the same day. So we really have to figure out what are you actually not wanting to make a decision about? Because you and I both know that's not true. You can't say that to the client, but your posture can definitely dictate that question. So great, man. So went through the setup, telling them this is who I am, why I'm here, and this is what we're going to do. I'm good with however you decide to go about this at the end, but we're doing this. We're making a decision. So run us through your financial inventory there. So once you set the table, how do you transition into the financial inventory?
Absolutely. So it's a real smooth transition. And I would like to point out too that the mortgage protection kind of introduction, setting the table, I'm trying to come at it from more of an educative approach because most people just don't understand what it is. They just don't, right? Even if they think they do, they don't, right? So I'm trying to make sure that's come from, 2 years of getting all kinds of objections and thinking, man, how could I have avoided that? Right. So that's why that setup is so long. It feels like sometimes just because you want to set the pace exactly. But if you're dealing with someone for like a basic life insurance request or a final expense request, and that's real simple, like those are the best. You're still going to follow the same skeleton. It just doesn't need to be as muscular, right? Hey, here's who I am. Obviously, you asked me out here to cover final expenses. Who are we covering? Okay, find the beneficiary. Okay, and then you're looking for. You're going to ask them the main question, the why. You're going to have you lost someone recently or someone, and that's why you're looking into this. Like most clients, you're going to find that why, and you want to be buried or cremated. Okay. And then from there, you have all the pieces that you need. Here's how this is going to go, and you jump into it. So similar structure, here's who I am, here's why I'm here, here's how this is going to go. You're just tweaking the word tracks a little bit to make sure that it's customized to that client. Then from there, once you've set it up, it's real straightforward. Just take out your piece of paper and start asking questions. The transition is very simple. So Sean, Christina, make sure I got their name spelled right. Okay, cool. What's your birthday, your ages? Then I always go straight into health. I like to find health issues as soon as possible. That way, I don't risk using wrong language or word tracks or insinuating they're going to get coverage that they won't. Right. So I like to go right into age and health. That way I can figure out where they're at health wise. So right away I can start thinking about what type of products we'll be looking at for them. And then once I get the health covered, that's a real straightforward conversation. It's just, hey, Sean, Christina, all the underwriting for this is electronic. So you're not going to have to pee in a cup or give blood. It's very quick and easy. But that doesn't mean that they don't care about your health. They still do very much. They're actually going to check your entire health history. But they're just going to be able to do it electronically. That way it all happens a lot quicker. Problem is I don't see any of that. They're not going to show that to me because of HIPAA regulations, right? So I have to ask you guys these questions. That way I know what they're going to be seeing, and I don't waste your time making you fill out 13 applications. My goal is to get you approved with the first one. So the more I know about your health, the quicker this is going to be for all of us. So you can lie to me all you want. We're not going to get it past that. So that being said, guys, do you take any prescriptions for anything currently? So just hop right into it. I try to make sure, because especially older people, they'll try to lie to you or withhold some stuff to make themselves sound healthy, right? And they're doing it to try to get approved, right? You can't blame them for it. You just got to know it, right? You know that they're going to try to do that. So you want to tell them, hey, this is what's happening here. You can't hide the cancer from me. You can't hide the meds from me. They'll see it. So just tell me, that way I can work with you. So it's just a way of communicating that up front. Then from there, I jump into the budget. Typically, I'm not going through their Netflix and their Hulu subscriptions exactly like that. I know everyone has their own preferences. What I like to do, I'll find the living situation, mortgage, rent, all that, what they owe, how much they're paying there. And then I'll go from there into debts, because that's a very easy, how much do you owe on the house? Okay, do you own or rent here? Okay, what outstanding debts do you have? Any car loans, any student loans, any personal or second mortgages? What about credit card balances that you don't pay off every month? Because that's going to tell you how they manage their money, right? If they're checking off every box, oh, yep, student loans. Oh, yep, car loans. Oh, yep, all this different stuff, right? That's, that budget's going to be tight. They might not know their finances that well, and you're really going to have to guide them, right? So you're kind of trying to figure out what's the budget look like and what type of person am I sitting with, right? So from there, then I'm getting into job history, finances, income. Hey, Sean, I don't care how much you gross for Uncle Sam. What do we actually take home per month to pay the bills? What does that look like for you guys on average? So I'm digging into that, making sure I find a realistic budget for them. Hey, is that consistent year round? Or do you go through any kind of fluctuations based on seasons or commissions or anything like that? Okay, cool. So I want to know the lowest amount that they're going to take home on a given month in that year. And then from there, I'm just asking the golden type questions, right? Do you have current life insurance? How many times have you called me saying, hey, I found something better for this client, right? Because you asked it, right? So you're helping them replace policies that aren't what they think they are, or they aren't that good. You're checking to see if they have any kind of retirement set up.
So Matt, let me pause you there. Let's actually go into that, because that can be such a game changer for agents if they knew how to get into the second part of the financial inventory. So you've gone through the budget, you've gone through the finances, you've gone through the health. Now we're going into that what's that? Yeah, so now we're transitioning into that second part of the financial inventory. Let's role play that.
Okay. So last thing I would have asked you would have been, let's see, about monthly income. So you and Christina take home about $7,000 a month, and that's actual take-home pay that you use to pay your bills, save money, all that, right? Okay, cool. Yeah. Sounds good. And then last couple things here, Sean. So do you have any current life insurance of any kind? If you die, does Christina and the kids, do they get a check from anyone?
Yeah, I have a little bit through my job, and I think I got a policy somewhere.
Okay, cool. So let's start at the job one. So did you get the 1 year salary that most places include, or did you opt in for more?
No, just the 1 year salary.
About 80 grand or so, yeah, right there?
Sounds about right.
You're about 80 grand there. Okay, so not much. And unfortunately, in today's day and age, with a wife and 2 kids, 80 grand will go pretty quick. About a year, it'll be zapped up, at least. Mm-hmm. Okay, got it. And then you mentioned another policy. Who's taking money out of your account every month for that? Do you remember who it's with?
No, I don't.
you would see it coming out of your bank account every single month, they'd be charging you for it. So if you're not seeing that, then you don't have any active coverage, because if there's no money coming out, no one's covered you guys. So do you think
Got
you
it.
just forgot the company, or do you think you don't have it anymore? Because a lot of people do that where they used to have something, but they don't anymore.
Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I think it's Mutual of Omaha.
Perfect. Yeah. Yeah. They're one of the companies that we work with. Great company there. So go ahead and do us a favor, Sean. While I'm working on some of this stuff, go ahead and grab that policy for me. It's going to save us like 10, 15 minutes in underwriting questions and stuff. So it'll get me out of here a lot quicker. Go ahead and grab that. If it takes you 5 minutes to find it, I get it. It's probably buried somewhere. Go ahead and take a look at that. I'll work on this while I grab it.
Dude, what's so funny is while you were saying that, I was gonna say like I can't find it, but you just gave me no option.
You got to overcome the objections before they come up.
And we're just role playing. We're just role playing, and I was just like, well, yeah, I better just go find it. Like I'm gonna feel
Just
really
go find it.
silly.
And I started ignoring you and working on my iPad
Yeah.
because you got to go get it. It's going to
Yeah.
save us a ton of time.
I love
I
that,
don't
man.
care if it's buried. It probably is. You just gotta, that's the trick, man. Overcoming all the objections before they come up, because then it's not weird. Then it just flows smoothly. It just flows smoothly all the way until, yeah, we'll take that one. So you go get
Yeah.
the policy, we take a look at it. I'd say a good 7 times out of 10, it's not exactly what you thought. And you don't have to be a genius to read a life insurance policy. It's all real simple on the first couple pages. So just take a look at it. What's the face amount? Is it a term or whole life? And I'm going to tell you guys about it. Okay, cool. Yeah. So it looks like you got, a term for 10 years, so it'll keep your payments level for 10 years. After that, it starts going way up on you. And I don't see any living benefits here. So this looks like traditional life insurance where you have to die in order for Christina to get a check. That sounds right? Okay, cool. 10 years. So yeah, you got a good price here. But Sean, you're 33. I don't know your exact age. I think you're around there. You're 33 right now. So this will cover you till you're 43. But then here's what the prices are going to do. And I'm going to show you the prices. Is that something you guys think makes sense long term? Probably not, right?
Yeah, that's gonna be way too expensive.
See, this is good coverage. You already have it, so we're not going to do anything necessarily with that right this second. Let's look at some other options for you. But Sean, you'd be shocked. Unfortunately, life insurance can get kind of complicated, and it's just something where you do it once and you forget about it. So most people, you probably knew exactly what this thing was the day you got it, but now it's a couple years later, you forget about it. So that's why I always review it with clients to make sure you know exactly what you have, because this is something you got to evaluate every couple of years. Stuff changes. You got to remember, right? At the time, you thought this was the best thing ever. Maybe it was just what you can afford, but we might need something different today. So let's table this for now. We'll come back to it, but at least you guys know exactly what that is. So now I've covered it. So now I know you have life insurance through work, 80 grand. That only pays out if you die. I'm going to remind you about work coverage. My word track for that is, I don't remember who I stole it from. You know how it goes. But Sean, I think you guys probably understand how work life insurance works. But just to remind you and Christina, just so you don't get in an awkward situation where it's not paying out. So work life insurance is great, but there's a reason it's either free or really cheap, right? You've heard the phrase, you get what you pay for, right? Well, it's still life insurance through work. So you got to ask yourselves, why is it so cheap or free for me at work and it costs me money out if I get it myself? That doesn't make sense, because you're the same person with the same age and health in both places, right? Well, the trick is the fine print. Your work life insurance only covers you while you're actively employed. And Sean, obviously that includes firing, quitting, moving, all that stuff, but also short-term, long-term disability, right? If you're sick, you're not actively employed. So obviously this is great, but this is more cherry on top than it is the actual cake, right? Because you don't want your family depending on this 80 grand. Not that it's much to depend on in the first place, but if you're betting on 80 grand coming to you, but then you're disabled for a year and then you die, they're getting nothing. So obviously it's great to have, but that's why we want to make sure we have something that we own and control outside of that. Does that all ring a bell? Or is that new to you guys?
No, yeah, we're just now learning that. I thought we would get to keep it.
Yeah, no, most people do, and obviously it's a very busy time at work when you're just getting started, new job, everything's exciting. They're throwing all this paperwork at you. You're trying to pick benefit options and all this kind of stuff. So a lot of it gets lost in the mix. But you can check with your HR department. That's how it works every time, right? You get what you pay for. Life insurance is all about statistics, numbers, amortization tables. That's all it is, right? Are you going to die, and when are you going to die? And that doesn't change if you're working or if you're in your house, right? Personal. It's all the same. So they have to make fine print in there. That's how group policies work.
Makes sense.
Okay, cool. So we got that there. Last couple things here, Sean. Do you have anything that could act like life insurance, right? So, Sean, you got all these bills, you're working. If you're maybe not, you're even not dead, maybe you're disabled. What do we have to help replace lost income? Any places we could go turn for cash? Any 401k, IRA, stocks, funds, anything like that you can think of?
Yeah, I actually have an old 401k just from my last job.
Okay, got it. Okay, so from the last job, have you rolled that over into anything yet, or
Mm-mm.
just kind of left it? Okay, no worries. You remember how much it was? Just ballpark: 5, 10, 50, 100, a million. Like,
Yeah, about 75,000.
it's a decent chunk, man, decent chunk. So we can look at a couple of different options for that for you guys. There's a couple different options in my area of expertise, or I can refer you to someone else too. We'll come back to that. But that's good. I'm glad you guys at such a young age were able to save up a good chunk, and then obviously you're investing in your current company as well, right?
Correct. So you're not hammering that right there. You're not going into it there.
No, because you don't want to take this huge detour and then lose them on the main focus. You want to come back to it. That's not why you're there today. I like how Ryan says it. He literally tells them, "Hey, we're not going to look at this today. We'll come back to it later." Like I heard him saying it to a client on live dials yesterday. He was running an appointment, and he literally just tells him, "Like, hey, we're not dealing with this today, but I'll get back to you on that."
Makes sense.
Just say, like, hey, we're going to deal with this, just not now. We're going to address it. Okay, cool. Anything else you guys can think of? Any Bitcoin, not that would help you anymore, or do you own stock in GameStop or anything like that? I'm throwing out funny things to get you thinking, what other stuff do I have out there? Especially with older people, that's helpful. Oh, I own 80 grand of silver under my mattress. I don't know. Like, you'll find the randomest stuff, right? Okay, cool. And then what do we have roughly in our emergency fund currently? Did we use it all up on the house getting in here and furniture and stuff? Or do you have any kind of rainy day fund still left over after all that?
We've just got a couple thousand. We did use a lot getting into the house.
Under 5 grand?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So building that back up, obviously one of the priorities for now. Okay, cool. Good to know. Alrighty. Anything you guys, obviously we covered your health really extensively. Anything financially speaking you guys can think of that we're missing? The better picture I have of you guys, the better recommendation I'll be able to make. Anything else you can think of?
Nothing I can think of. I think we covered it all.
That's what you'll get. Like, no, that's my life. But that's important, because if you understand that I now know your life situation, think about that level of trust now, right? In 15, 20 minutes, I've been able to completely understand your health situation, which is important to get you approved, and then your financial situation, which is important to gain your trust, and then to make a good recommendation, right? If you know that you have stuff that you haven't told me about, are you going to trust me when I make a recommendation? Of course not. Now, it's your fault that you held it from me, but still, my goal is to make sure if we're in a poker game, that I've seen every one of your cards that you're holding in your hand and those 2 up your sleeve that you thought you were going to pull over on me, right? Your work life insurance that you thought you were going to be like, oh no, I've got work life insurance. Right? That emergency fund of 5 grand that you were just going to tell me that you had, oh yeah, I've got money in the bank. We'll be fine. Right? All those different things that you think, oh yeah, I'll just pull this out later. Right? No, I'm going to see those too. Because if you can get it all out there, man, the odds of you being able to help them are just so high. It just makes your job so easy. And then from there, now that I've got a complete financial inventory, if you've told me anything about health situations at all, I'm going to pre-screen you. Right? America is incredible. They allow, with their e-apps, the ability to get a peek, right? It's not a guarantee, but a peek. So I'm going to take a peek if you've told me anything, especially with younger people. Anxiety, depression stuff is kind of wild. So I'm going to take a peek there. So I always like knowing what these companies are going to see, just because people forget about prescriptions, medical situations, stuff like that.
So how would you say that part to the client? You're going to pull up the beginning of the app.
Yeah, no, I mean, you don't even know what I'm doing. So at least I'm not showing you my, my laptop or my iPad. So we went through the financial inventory. Okay, Sean, Christina, I think I know where we want to go. I'm just going to run a quick pre-screening on you guys here. This is going to help me narrow it down from 25 plus companies down to 1 or 2 specific options for you guys. So that way we can look at actual pricing and coverage options. So give me 2-3 minutes here. Just some basic questions. We'll run a pre-screening that lets them check your health. And then that way we can look at stuff that you're much more likely to be approved for. So bear with me here, and I'll just go through it real simple. And then from there, run that. You guys sign it virtually or in person. Okay, cool. And then now I know what the health looks like, right? So now I know that I can confidently talk to you about living benefits, right? That's a big thing. But you don't want to talk about living benefits if they're not going to get approved for them, right? That's a big no-no. You don't talk to someone that can afford a Corolla and make them think they can afford a Ferrari, right? Like, that's not going to be great, because then if They have to go with the Corolla. They're not happy and they're not going to want it. Well, you told me about the Ferrari. I want that now. They're going to go find someone to get them that Ferrari. So I'm running that pre-screening. And then from there, if you don't know how to do that or anything like that, you're calling an upline, right? You're using your cheat sheets. You need to know where to go with them and make a good recommendation. Because if you get them declined twice, the odds of them letting you try a third time, in my experience, is not that high.
Yeah,
not that high. You got to
100%.
really like you and be really patient. So I always try to make sure that I'm getting approved on that first shot. So then from there, what I'm doing is I'm running the numbers. Okay, Sean, Christina, give me 2 minutes here to run some options for you, and we'll take a look. So then, that's just quiet time. I'll say something stupid or whatever, give them a break, whatever. Run my numbers. I'm not going to show them, though. I'm going to treat it like we're in 4th grade and we're taking tests and you're right next to me trying to peek. I'll literally cover them up. You guys don't get to see that. I don't want you seeing numbers without context, right? So I'm going to make sure I fill that out. It's easy if you're virtual, right? But if you're in person, you want to make sure they're not looking at that. And then from there, what I've done to hold myself accountable is, you have to be awkward. You have to be emotional, right? This is both a logical financial decision as well as an emotional decision, right? And most people, they want to delay the pain. I'll think about it. I'll talk to my second cousin's lawyer who his ex hired and they're divorced. Like what? That's not something that you need, but they'll come up with that kind of stuff, right? So what I'm going to do from there is I'm going to make sure that if we haven't gotten awkward, if there's not a strong emotional why for this coverage, that's where we're going to find it. And so what I did is I kind of created a roadblock for myself there. I'm not allowed to show the client numbers unless it's felt awkward in some extent, right? So then if it's a younger couple that you want to talk about living benefits to, I'm going to ask us a question like this. Christina, one last question for you guys. It's a tough one, but I ask every family that I sit with this question because just like you can't call State Farm on the side of the road after you totaled your car and say, hey, I need some car insurance. We can't get this when you need it. You have to get it when you don't think you need it. So that way, when you do need it, it's there. Right. And so that's why we're talking about it here when you guys are sitting here alive and healthy. Right. So Christina, if Sean doesn't walk through that door tomorrow from work and now it's 7:30 and he's normally home way before then and you're actually kind of upset at him now because he didn't call or text you and you're wondering what the heck's going on. Right. And now you get a call from the local hospital. And they're telling you, hey, is this Christina? Yeah, we found your number in Sean's emergency contacts on his phone and wanted to let you know he's here in the ER. Right. So you're grabbing the 2 kids. You're running every red light. You're breaking the speed limits. You're trying to get Sean as quick as possible. We don't know if he's going to be okay, let alone when he's going back to work. But a lot of people find themselves in this situation. So, Christina, how do you guys get through that? We don't want to talk about the emotions, but financially speaking, how do you guys keep going through something like that?
Matt, yeah, I mean, she'll probably be okay.
Oh, Sean, so actually you're in a coma in the hospital right now. So we need to figure out kind of how Christina is going to see that situation. Because I know this sounds ridiculous, but you and I both know that this happens to thousands of Americans every day. So Christina, how does that look like for you guys financially?
And usually the husband just says, okay. He didn't say much.
You can always jump in, but you always want to make sure that you get an answer, and then you want to dig at least 1 or 2 more levels deeper than you think you need to. Right? So if they say, oh, yeah, that wouldn't be good, dig deeper. Don't just accept that because they're just telling you what you want to hear or what they think you want to hear. Right? You want to get to where you feel the rawness, where you feel the awkwardness. You'll know when you feel it. And once you feel it, now think about how easy this is. Okay, so Christina just told me, honestly, I don't know. I don't see how we're going to get by. It's going to be really tough. We might have to, church, family, something, but it's not going to be good. Okay. Hey, yeah, I appreciate the honesty there, Christina. There's no right or wrong answer, but I think we can agree that if there was a wrong answer, that's it. Like we don't want to be in that situation because we can prevent that today. So let's look at some options to make sure you guys never have to go through that financially. Boom, and I already got the numbers ran. So now you're just going to look at them, and I'm going to run you through them. I'm going to make sure I've already explained how the coverage works at that point. So now we're just looking at the options. I'm putting numbers to the coverage that you already know and completely understand, right? We didn't go through that part, but that would have been a real simple part. After I'd run the numbers, tell you how the coverage works, then ask the emotional question. And then I'm showing numbers, and I run you through it. Hey, here's how much it covers. Here's how it works, what it does. Remember, we talked about this paying out in this situation or that situation. Here's how much it's going to be monthly. That's locked in for so long. You're getting your money back at the end. or it's permanent coverage, whatever, however it's designed. Walk them through it. Take your time. Make sure they understand how it works. Okay, Sean, Christina, 2 questions for you guys now. First one, do you have any questions about any of these numbers, how they work, what they mean, how this coverage works? I want to make sure that this is crystal clear. Obviously, it's not crazy complicated, but I want to make sure I didn't lose you guys. Does that make sense? Any questions about the coverage or how it works?
Makes sense.
If you've done your job right. And then from there, okay, last question for you guys. Like I said earlier, I can't approve you. I'm just the underwriter. We got to find an insurance company to approve you. So if we are able to get you approved, which one of these options is going to make the most sense for you guys? Making sure you have the peace of mind, knowing that you have an answer to that question, but then also making sure you can still put gas in the tank. Which one do you think makes the most sense for you guys?
Yeah, so simple, man. But the sale is made when you got my wife to tell you that we need it. Because for the first 15, 20, 30 minutes, you were doing the talking, the question asking, the selling per se. But now you have to gain that agreement. You got to know that we're on the same page, because if not, like, are you going to show me numbers if I don't think that I need it?
Oh, no, not at all. I mean, just to not waste my time,
Right.
like I guess I would, but I know in my head that that's not going to happen. Like, because if you don't think you need it, why would you do it? Right?
Yeah.
If you don't think you need Netflix, why would you sign up for Netflix if you don't have anything on there that you want to watch?
Yeah, man. And I think one mistake that I used to make, and that I see a lot of new agents make, is they kind of shy away from getting that uncomfortable. So then when they go to either A, ask that question about, hey, like, do we agree that we need this? And then also when they show numbers, they get really uncomfortable with the silence that it takes during those two pieces. How can that hurt you if you don't let the client speak?
Just the longer you sit there, the more solid it's going to be. Now, you're not sitting there for minutes on end, right? But a second feels like a minute, So give them enough time. The first person to talk, that kind of a thing. So you need to give them time to make sure that they've processed everything that you've told them, right? And if you've done your job right, 9 times out of 10, they're just going to point at one and say, hey, let's go with that one. That makes sense. And then I'm going to remind them, okay, cool. So I know we've been over it a lot, but that's this coverage. That'll be this much a month if we're able to get you approved. Obviously, nothing comes out today because you're not approved yet. We've got to fill out the application, make sure we can get you approved. And that $125 a month will be comfortable if we're able to get you guys approved. You're not going to be able to only eat ramen noodle every night or not fill up the tank.
Dude, I love the tie down with that, right? Where they make the decision, but I'm going to help you second guess it just one more time. Just because I think you're the same way. I don't want to leave with seller's remorse. Like, I want to know I helped the client with something. I want to know that they bought. That's the beauty of what we do, bro, is we don't have to sell. We just run enough appointments, sit with the people who are interested, and the ones who want to buy will buy as long as we don't mess it up. And that helps us all go to sleep peacefully at night, because we've done lots of other sales jobs where it wasn't that way. I mean, I genuinely care about people, and I would go home like, man, I don't really feel good about tricking this old lady into buying this thing that she really doesn't need. But everybody needs this product, and it allows us to have that posture in the house that, like, hey, once I see that you need it, you need to realize you need it, and then I'm just going to help you make a decision that's comfortable for you. End of the day, it's your deal. It's not mine, right? Now, one last thing. At what point would an agent call from the house? And if you're a new agent, what would that look like? How do you actually go into, hey, I need to call my mentor and get help?
Yeah. So I think there's 3 steps to it. First, you need to make sure that your mentor knows that you're out in the field running appointments. Right. It's always funny when I get a random text or a call on some random day or time from someone that I haven't heard from in months. Like, oh, I'm in the field or whatever. Like, okay, but I'll help you. Right. But you want to make sure your mentor knows that you're in the field, you're out there. It'll help you with accountability. It'll also help make sure that you're getting answers and that you're prepared to get them. Right. If your mentor's busy or something, you have plenty of other people to go to. So that way you're ready with that backup. Right. The QRF is ready to be deployed. Right. And then 2, I'm gonna reach out as a new agent in the home at the end of the financial inventory. But before I go to figuring out what I'm going to show them, quote them, and position to that family. right? So I've already set the table. I've already gotten every piece of information that I need. And then that's when, hey, Sean, Christina, give me 1 second here. I think I know which route to go, but we have to call our underwriting department just to make sure and double check that we're putting you in the best position possible. So give me 1 second here. Let me get a hold of someone, and we'll make a recommendation for you here. And I'm not asking, I'm just being polite and telling you what I'm doing, right? So now I'm going to call. Hey, Gabe, yeah, this is Matt, sitting here with Sean and Christina. They're this old. Here's their health. Here's their situation. I wanted to just double check. What do we recommend to these folks? Gabe's going to tell me, okay, based on what he told me, we're going to go with the Americo CBO for both of them. If for some reason that declines them, call me back. We'll figure out something else. I might want to go Mutual of Omaha or somewhere else. Okay, cool. That's what I was thinking too. Thanks, Gabe. Bye. All right. So now I further validated myself with the clients, right? I was so silly when I started. I wouldn't want to do that because I thought it was like stupid, but whatever. So I further validated myself with the clients, right, by getting that second opinion. And if I'm a new agent, I have no idea what to show them. I don't know the products. I don't know the carriers. But now I know where to go for them, right? And I have the confidence knowing that someone who does know said that, right? So I don't have to, I think we should look at, no, we're looking at this. This is the best one for you, right? You can have that confidence, not in yourself, but in your team, right? That's making that recommendation. And then lastly, you're going to call after the house. Whether you help that family or not, regardless, you're going to call after because the way I look at it is if you break down the numbers, because this is a business, right? You break down the numbers, it costs you quite a bit of money to talk to someone about life insurance, right? Leads are pretty inexpensive, but especially when you're new, to actually get in front of someone to talk to them about life insurance, it can be kind of pricey on average, right? Because you're factoring in all those different costs. So if you don't learn anything from that house and you don't help that family, you just took several $100s on average and chucked it out the window.
100%.
You got nothing from it. You didn't grow the business. You didn't learn more, and you definitely didn't make the sale. So that's just a huge mistake that so many new agents make. And who knows why they make it? You know, you're busy, or they want to bug you, or I can figure it out on my own. Those are just silly excuses not to pick up the phone because we want to help, right? We needed that when we were there. We want to help people that are there, but we're not going to call them. We don't know, right? Going back to that first point, we don't know that you just had an appointment that you didn't close, you know? So that's the 3 times you want to reach out as a new agent. And if you do that, your learning curve is going to
100%.
I mean, 10 appointments, you're going to be a pro, but most people just don't do that. And so those are the people on the bottom of the leaderboard. You see new people at the top of the leaderboard, guarantee you, without failure, every single time, they're reaching out a ton and they're talking to someone a heck of a lot.
Yeah, 100%, man. Now, last thing, Matt, is obviously the tie down of the sale, right? Now, according to reports, you have an incredible retention rate, right? Your persistency is through the roof, one of the highest in the company. What are some things you do after you get the voided check, you submit the app? What do you do after that to solidify it?
Basically, at that point, the thought process is you want to control what is their first thought going to be when that money drafts. The second month, not the first month. Like that's obvious. They just met with you. They'll remember. The second month, what is that first thought that goes through their head when they see, what, Americo, 185? What, Mutual of Omaha, I've heard of them, but why are they in my bank account? $200, what? Right, however much it is, you want to control that second thought for their sake. Because if it's, what the heck, I don't remember that. Let me call and cancel them real quick. What's their number? What is this? Oh, yeah, no, I didn't want that anyway, right? That's what you're trying to control, to make sure that this family really, truly needed it. And part of that is the whole appointment, right? But part of that is how you're leaving them too, right? So when we're waiting on the approval message to come back, I'm going to make sure you guys both have my digital business card plugged into your phones. So I've got a fancy card. If I'm in person with someone, I've got a little tap thing that everyone always likes. So I tap their phone and it pops up. Oh, that's so cool. Okay, now go ahead and save me in your phone. If it's virtual, just send them the link so they can save me in their phone. And then that way I'm saying, hey guys, I do not own or control this coverage in any way, shape, or form. We're the middleman. All I did was connect you to an A-rated insurance company, right? But I can be the face to the name, to the coverage, and I'll be there to help you guys out if and when something happens. That's why I take this so seriously, guys. Obviously, I love joking around with y'all. You're a super fun couple to meet. Much better than a lot of people out there. My job gets pretty boring sometimes, but it's always fun meeting cool people like you guys. But at the end of the day, I take this really seriously because I'm on both sides of this cover. It's my job to help you guys get approved for it. It's also my job to be there for you and help you file that claim when that time comes. And I've had to do that. So that's why I take this so seriously, because I know this sounds really stupid, guys, but no one's ever said, hey, we don't need the money or we don't want the money right now, or it's too much. Unfortunately, guys, I'm typically called sooner than a lot of family members. It's kind of sad, but it makes sense. You're going to call emergency services, right? You're going to deal with that type of stuff. And then you're like, wait, I'm pretty sure I had money coming to me right now. And that's who you're calling. So I'll be here for you guys for that. I've just got the one phone number. I don't have two phones, so call or text me and I'll get it. And then if you don't hear from me in 24 hours, hey, I'm sorry, I died. So in that place, just call the company directly. Their numbers on Google or in the policy as well. Just call them directly and they'll be able to help you out with whatever you need. So from there, I'll go ahead and I'll close out your file, guys, so that we don't have to deal with this anymore. If you ever have any questions or need anything, just go directly to me. That we don't have to go through any hassle of filling out that form again on Facebook or in the mail or referencing whatever they did to get me out there. So you guys are good to go there. Your agent for life, whatever you need, come to me. I'll be able to handle it for you. If you ever need to raise its coverage, find something else, or if you need a family member help as well, just let me know. I'll be able to help them. Be happy to do so. And then lastly, guys, I know you didn't wake up this morning looking for another $185 a month subscription, right? I get that. You already got enough coming out. Plus, you got the gas doing what it's doing, the economy doing what it's doing. But that's why I asked, if you remember, that's why I asked Christina that tough question earlier. We didn't really have an answer for that, right? So now we do. We got you guys approved. You have an answer to that, right? But this isn't bottom of the budget stuff. Just because this is the most recent thing that you signed up for doesn't mean that it's the least important. This thing's right up there next to the mortgage, right? Or the rent. You don't wonder if you're going to pay that every month. You can't wonder about this either. That's why it's automatic for you, so you don't have to forget about it. So I know you didn't wake up looking for this, but this is much more important than all that other stuff. So when it all happens in waves, right? The tires, the engine, the roof, the kids, the fridge, it all happens in waves. So that month when everything does go to crap, this isn't the thing you have to cancel. Cancel the stuff that you get right back. Because that all adds up.
Got it.
So then you guys are good to go. And then from there, any other questions? Okay, cool. You'll see that policy here in the mail in the next couple weeks. If you have any questions, you need anything, let me know.
Now, that's awesome, dude. Two things I noticed. One, your tie down is very similar to how you set the table. It's pretty lengthy. You're giving them a lot of meat in there. You said you started out from an educational standpoint and you end that on that note as well. But the tie down sounds like it's just as big of a piece as your setup, because not only do you want them to buy, you want them to keep it, right?
Selling business. We're in the helping
Correct.
people business, and they got to keep it for long term.
Yeah. And then, dude, so I know you do a couple extra things post getting the app submitted, right? Walk through that last part that you do after you leave the house.
So if it's a client that is paying over $200 a month in the household for anything, so whether I help, the husband, wife, and 4 kids or whatever, if it's one person, if they've helped over 200, or if they're paying over $200 a month for that policy or policies, I'm going to send them something in the mail. For me personally, obviously it doesn't have to be this exact thing, but something to this extent. I want to send them a something that says, hey, thank you for allowing me to help you protect your family. So for me, I send cupcakes in a jar. It's this mason jar, and it's like got layers of what you would use to make a cupcake, but it's already there ready for you to spoon it out, and it's delicious. It's incredible. It's from a local bakery here. It's like 30 something bucks, and they get 3 different ones, and they'll ship anywhere in the country. So I love it because it's memorable. You don't get that kind of stuff in the mail. And so that's something that I started doing. It makes a lot of sense because you want to help them. You want that impression to be good, and you want them to think twice before they cancel that for their family. So that's what I do there. You just made a good amount of money protecting that family. No sense in not spending a few bucks to help save that. And then from there, if it's smaller than that, I'll send them, me or my staff, I will send them a thank you card. Just something real basic, real simple, but we'll send them a thank you card. Hey, thank you for allowing us to help you protect your family. Let us know if you have any questions.
Awesome, man. Yeah. Well, Matt, I appreciate you coming on, man. Guys, you heard it there. If you want to help 570 something families this year or next year, you just learn from the best, man. One of the best in the business. So take some of this. I hope it was a big help to you. And Matt, appreciate you, man. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, John.
Take care, guys.